Hey, good morning, real estate world. This is John Moss for General Property Management right here in good old Eau Claire, Wisconsin. So here's a question I get asked, and I thought, hey, I'll just do a video about it. And then next time I'm asked, I'll just send them the video. So it is, should I hire an attorney for an eviction? You don't have to hire an attorney for an eviction. It is a small claims procedure, so you can go there yourself. And I used to think, yeah, that's the way you should. You should save money and just do it yourself. Why hire an attorney? They're very expensive. I've changed my mind on that. And actually, I changed my mind on that a couple of years ago and would say that you should hire an attorney to do an eviction. And I'm going to go through the reasons why. I was going to have 10 reasons and I was going to flip cards like David Letterman, but then I realized that maybe people don't remember him. He's been retired for like 10 years. So, anyways, you should hire an attorney because they are experts. They're going to be able to navigate the law for this through this process. And what if you screw up? If you screw up, you're trying to evict somebody out of a place that's renting for $1,000 a month, and you don't want to pay the attorney $800 to get it done for you, or even pay them $1,000. Maybe you have to pay them, I don't know, $1,500 because they're slower than the other attorney that could do it for you. But anyways, you lost that month's rent, you lose another month's rent, that's $2,000. You're just better off getting it done right the first time. And maybe you screw up a third time. You probably don't do an eviction every day. You probably don't go to court very often at all. I sure hope you don't. It's not a very fun experience. Anyways, so errors and mistakes. You're probably going to make an error or mistake. Maybe you won't, maybe you will. I'm guessing most often you probably will. There are all kinds of things to consider. You have to serve the person with a process server, and there's timing for all of this. It has to have a certain amount of time for them to be able to react and respond. So you got to have your timing right. Affidavit's a service, affidavit's a non-military service. The notice has got to be timed right, as well as a summons and complaint. That all has to be perfect. If it's missed by one day, it's thrown out. You get to start all over. You get to pay all the fees, do it all over again. And yeah, it's not a fun way to get educated. So court presentation, you go into court, and there you are. If you actually have to go to court, or even before that, you're in mediation. The mediators asking you tough questions, or you have to go to court, and the court commissioner saying, "Hey there, Mr. Landlord, da 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 da," and you're like, "Oh, how do I answer this?" You're put on the spot, and you better know what's going on, and don't think you know the law, because you really don't. These people that have gone to school and have advanced degrees from college and studying nothing but the law will run circles around you real quickly. So because of that, you know, I guess prepare for the worst, and that's why I say use an attorney, because you want to get this done, get that person out of that apartment, get that eviction taken care of. So court presentation. Oh, and another thing too is all these attorneys and judges and all these people, they all belong to the bar association. They all know each other. So, you know, they know that judge and that judge's personality and the way he responds, and they know how to give him the best um, answer. Is that judge a hardcore, like, blah blah blah, they didn't pay, you're out? Or is it someone who's like feelings and compassion, and oh geez, their kitten died, no wonder they couldn't pay the rent? So they know all this stuff about that, so that's important too. Another reason, invalid leases, knowing the law. So in Wisconsin, there are 10 things that if they are in your lease is void. Chapter 704.44 Wisconsin statutes outlines that. And if you don't know that, and your lease is wrong, and I tell you, when people come to us and hire us for doing work for them, I would say probably the majority, anyways, maybe even three quarters, 80% of the leases we are giving are invalid. And invalid leases are automatically void if they have one of those 10 things defined in the law. So you give the lease to an attorney, the attorney reads it and says, oh my gosh, you can't evict this person. Your lease isn't valid. We're just better off trying to maneuver and do something different. And also, severability clause. Your lease doesn't have to say, doesn't have to have one to be valid, because Chapter 704.02 Wisconsin statute guarantees a severability clause is in every lease. However, just because of that doesn't mean the court commissioner knows that. This is landlord tenant law. A lot of these attorneys don't, there's no money in landlord tenant law for the most part, so they're not really up on that. So you're going to the court commissioner, and the other person says, well, it's illegal for him to say that I have to do whatever, and that's in my lease. And the judge says, oh, you're right, that is illegal, that's in the lease. Well, the whole thing's done. But no, the severability clause, which nobody knows about unless you're an attorney, would say that, yeah, the lease is valid. Just that one little thing in the lease is invalid, not the entire lease. Counterclaims. So if you file against someone else, they can, at no cost to them, file a counterclaim against you. So you go in there and say, hey, they didn't pay their rent, I'm evicting them. And they file a counterclaim back saying, no, you owe me for pain and suffering because I missed work. I shouldn't have to pay for the place anyways because you guys are there roofing it, and I couldn't sleep. I work nights at Quick Trip, so you owe me for pain and suffering and missing work. And I didn't make my car payment, and I couldn't do this. There's late fees, and all this other stuff is brought out. I don't know, maybe a bad example. Another reason you shouldn't go without an attorney, you should have an attorney do it for us, is what I call getting bushwhacked. There's nothing that says that they can't hire an attorney to defend themselves. So you show up at court all by yourself, and there you have to stand up against the best attorney in the nation because it happens to be the uncle or the friend or of this person, or they actually went out and paid someone to come in there, or they went and got a tenant advocacy group to pay them or to hire them an attorney to defend themselves against you. So then they can run circles around you because they know the law. Okay, number 7, avoid retaliation from the tenant. So an attorney can remain objective and see the path you want to take and see the result and stay on that because they deal with this all the time with people's emotions and trying to sidetrack and get a segue to go this way or that way. And they can keep the path straight and keep it going. They can avoid tenant retaliation. If you're having some sort of like, hey, I'm going to throw you out of your house, I'm going to evict you, that's kind of adversarial. Well, if it comes from a third party, it's not as bad. Adversarial, if I'm trying to do something to you bad, you're going to retaliate against me, quite honestly, if I'm the landlord. And retaliation can be that you call the health department and, well, they come and do a health department inspection and they write you a fix-it list. Well, the fix-it list is going to cost me a couple $1,000s to fix. Well, that's money out the door too. Or they turn you into HUD for something that you didn't do wrong, but they think you did wrong. Well, you still have to defend yourself against HUD. Take time writing letters and et cetera, whatever. And they can do the same thing to you, turn you into Department of Safety and Professional Services, or they can turn you into DATCAP. And this is going to be my big Dave Letterman moment where I throw this and say, and the number one reason why you should hire an attorney is that court litigation, all this stuff is just sickening for me. It just, oh my gosh. Anytime I walk into an institutional government building, even a hospital, school, it's just like, oh, I just feel like the air's, just feel the air leaving my lungs and I'm just going to faint and tip over. It's just, oh, just, I'd rather just not be doing things with institutions like that. It just is just always not fun. And forms and paperwork and rules before reason, all that stuff is really tough to deal with. Anyways, John Moss for General Property Management right here in good old Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Yes, I would hire an attorney. The last time we did an eviction, we did. It cost us like $1,000. It was lickety split, done perfectly, and it worked out great. So John Moss, General Property Management right here in good old Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Thank you very much for watching.